See, I really didn't mean it that night. I resigned. I resigned from being a mother and walked out the door. Remember that? I quit. Thank you, God. Thank you to everybody. This is so much to take in. And I know some of you are wondering, and one of you in here finally had the nerve to ask, do you really want to leave? No, I don't want to leave. But yes, I do want to retire. And I haven't figured out yet how to do both. It's time. It's time because I owe David some undivided attention while we both still have our health. It's time because God has told me it's time. Though I know God still has some things for me to do somewhere, somehow, sometime. And I do hear God speak, especially through you. I have heard him these past 4.5 years. I believe in laughter and fun. And as Bev Healy says, you can't beat fun. Sometimes my jokes and kidding could get me in trouble. Bess King, where are you? Remember that day we rode around in the car, that day that I was interviewed by the call committee? Bess was sitting in the back, and I forgot myself for a minute. They were taking me out around the lake out in, is that Eustis? Huh? Mount Dora. And we were all over, and they showed me these huge homes. And I said, oh my God, we must be going to the parsonage. And then I thought, Marilyn, you don't know these people. You don't know these people. Don't try to joke with them. Beth just threw her head back and laughed and said, yeah, right. But I knew for sure Gloria Day was the right place when another one spoke to me, and she's not here tonight because she doesn't get out much anymore. God spoke through Bernice Heiser at that time I came to church and visited with you all in June before you voted for me. And she came up to me and she said, my God, you're so young. And I said, David, this is the place. There's so many thank yous. John and Marva and your celebration committee, it's just unbelievable. And I'm so glad so many of you are here. And you know, some of you have seen this post on Facebook in the last few days that said, if you want to be a Lutheran, all you got to do is believe in Jesus and have a Pyrex dish. Could there be any better thing for Lutherans to celebrate than with a potluck? Everything is so good. Thank you to all of you who work so hard to do this. And I want to say a few words about my parents. And Evelyn actually found this the other day. I have it somewhere, but the pastor that did my father's funeral sent us a copy of it. So these are some words from my dad's funeral. He said, here we are together in worship. It was Bill and Hilda's way. Bill's grandparents, which were my great-grandparents, were charter members in an upstate New York Lutheran congregation where they made the communion from their own grapes that they grew in the backyard. Wine loving comes naturally. Being among God's people was part of their life. Part of the life that Bill and Hilda carved out together when they moved to Florida because Bill had it was shoveling snow. Honest to God, that's the only reason he picked up 4 kids and a wife and moved us to Florida. They immediately looked for and joined a church because being church with others was part of their lives, and they knew their children needed it. I think it was Evelyn that described Dad as when we were talking about flowers for the funeral, she said he was a geraniums and petunias guy. Just the basic guy, nothing fancy, because in his own words, he was just plain Bill. No nonsense. maybe a little gruff sometimes. Wow, was that an understatement? But that was Dad, our brother in Christ. He also knew who and whose he is. And I don't remember ever getting to sleep in on a Sunday morning. And as he told the story that even when they were stricken with the news that their son was killed in Vietnam, Bill knew. He clung to the hope of the resurrection, and in the face of their grief, they planted an oak tree as a memorial at the church that would become a place of shade and joy for children for years to play under while at the church's preschool. They weren't perfect parents, but then none are. Dad could be really difficult to live with, but they gave us what we needed, and they were the best they could be. Thanks, Mom and Dad, not just for the gift of life, but for the gift of faith. Evelyn and Ed, it's your turn now. Evelyn made sure that Mom and Dad made it to the most important things during my years of preparation for ministry. Ed drove from Florida to South Carolina twice. Not an easy feat with a dad who wouldn't fly because he couldn't be the pilot. Thank you for those trips. The 2 times that they came was for my wedding, for David and our wedding, and for my ordination. And my ordination would be the last time I saw my mom well, several months before her medical complication kept her between hospital and nursing home until her death. And I have to tell you why I most often preach from the pulpit. At my ordination, the pastor who preached that day kept walking around. You know how some do a few notes and then walk around. And, yeah, see, it's a problem. And he kept going. He couldn't see well and he couldn't hear well. And he kept going. And he said, I'm going to tell you one thing. You get your butt in that pulpit and you keep it there. And so I did. David, we met at the end of my first year of seminary, and as you have heard, engaged 13 days later, married 6 months later. We got the same warning from family, friends, and counselors. Why not wait a little bit? We didn't have a little bit. We knew that internship was coming up, and we could be sent in very opposite directions. But why not wait? It's the same advice I would have given to someone coming to me rushing into marriage. But after 17 years almost, there is no doubt that David was God's gift to me. Because of his support, I have fulfilled my childhood dream to be a pastor. Thank you, David. I don't know how I would have done it without you. Michael and Kyle. Yes, you did support me through those first years of seminary, and I guess you do remember those nights. More than once, Kyle found me late at night sleeping or crying in my Greek book and would send me to bed. And Michael gave me the plaque that's outside that says, God didn't do it all in one day. What makes you think you can? When David and I married, the 2 of them walked me down the aisle. They served as acolytes and crucifer at my ordination. Thanks, guys, for everything, for making me a grandmother. All another reason for retirement. And then there's the team players that have been with me here at Gloria Day. Mary Beth. Mary Beth is my partner in crime. Well, I don't know. There's this guy. Mary Beth. Oh, I know you don't like this. What's this? You don't like this guy. This one makes all the difference in being a pastor. She runs the place. I'm going to tell you that secret if you didn't already know it. She never complains, even when she's stretched to her limit, and I've done that a few times to her. Our deadlines, you see, are not movable. They're Sundays, Christmas, Easter. They come and they go, whether we're ready or not. So I have something for you that I would like to pass on. Do you remember this? This wand was actually awarded to me by our president, Mr. Richard Healy, who then began to call me Your Grace. And of course, I gave him, what do you call that thing? A gavel, because he is Mr. President. And so, Mary Beth, I pass the wand to you. You shall now refer to her as Your Grace. You're next. Paul. You heard that movie, didn't you? 4 weddings and a funeral. Paul and I have met and worked together through 40 funerals and a wedding. Thanks for helping me make work fun and joyful. And thank God you put the hymns in beer and hymns. Otherwise, we'd just be a bunch of Lutherans drinking beer, right? So what I have for you, you've already had, but now I officially pass to you. The elephant in the room is Paul's to keep for your use. If there's ever something that you don't want to talk about, come up and get the elephant and share it. Share it with everybody. You got to keep it on the organ so they know where it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul, for all you've done with me and for me. And Tina, while I don't have something to pass to you, I want to tell them about our odd communication methods.
Okay.
We talked via my trash can.
Yes.
Whenever I would leave her a note, I didn't know where to leave it so no she would see it, so I just put a Post-it on the trash can. And she would write me back often. But the thing I'm probably most grateful for are all the lost earrings that I dropped underneath my chair, and you found them for me. You are the most unsung, invisible hero at Gloria Day, who keeps our church spick and span. And church council, can the church council members stand up? Oh, come on. I know you're here. This is one of the most committed, hardworking bunch of people you see. I have never, and last year, every year I've been here, the council has been so wonderful, supports each other. You're willing to try things. You're willing to disagree and discuss. And always, always, you are willing for us to laugh at ourselves. You have good leaders. Trust them. Listen to them. Support them. And Dick, thanks for always telling me the truth, even when I didn't want to hear it. Thank you. I know it was good. Jim Gable. What did I do? I know, you're just trying to sit here.
What did I do?
And Gail Madsen, for all the times you have picked up the ball, even when it was right in the middle of a service that you had to take over. More than once, I think, at least Gail, when someone passed out in the pew and I went to them, Gail stepped up and continued. And Gail, thank you so much for the conflict management skills that you have and are teaching us. Keep this elephant handy for your own work in that area. And to you, the members of this congregation, I don't have words to know what to say to you. So many of you have done so many things during the time I was here. So many of you have lightened my load so many times and you are too many to name. I started going through it thinking, I'll say this about this one and that about this one. I'm thinking, oh no, we'll be here all night. And my sister, when she saw my iPad, was afraid I was going to preach anyway. So, no, and then to forget somebody. You are just too many to name, and I am so thankful and grateful for every single one of you. And I cannot believe you all came here tonight. This afternoon, I forget, we don't do things at night. Crystal, I'm telling you.
I'm not here.
I know. And don't tell me to shut up, as you do so often. You've done so many unexpected things. And let me tell you something. The reason I'm mentioning Crystal is I want to warn you. Do not tell Crystal you're thinking about doing something. Because before you can get the thought even out of your mouth, it's done. And you better be serious about it because she is going to do it. And the next thing you know, you will think it and it will be done. Thank you, Crystal, for all the things you have done. I look around this room and I see so many of you that I have shared such intimate parts of your lives. I'd like to say births and deaths, but there haven't been any births. I guess that's not surprising. But in crisis and celebrations, laughter and tears, I've been able to be in the middle of your lives. I have wanted to teach you the joy of knowing God and having fun doing it. Did y'all see the bunny ears?
Yes. Yeah.
You know what they're from? Who remembers what they're from? Lillian.
That was a day that I was home and lonely and bored, and I thought, well, there's a funeral at my church. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to go to the funeral. My hairdresser said, you get bored, you go to a funeral? And when I got there and saw all the pictures, it was that precious lady that loved bingo, and there was a table full of those sparkling things, and you wore the rabbit ears.
I wore the rabbit ears.
Wonderful.
Rita Harvey's funeral. Where's Earl? Earl let me have all of those headbands because they didn't know what to do with them. I don't think I've ever had so much fun at a funeral. Rita, she said she didn't have anything to do and she was bored and she heard there was a funeral at church. So she decided to come. Good a reason as any. And so they didn't know what they were going to do. Rita loved bingo. She even had these tattoo arm sleeves that she wore to bingo. And she had all these headbands for every single holiday of the year. And so I took them and said, oh, I could probably use them with kids or something sometimes. And so I took them and spread them out and wore them at the funeral. And it is the first time that I preached and presided in bunny ears. The last time, probably, too. So when you play bingo at Gloria Day, do not forget the headbands. It is the Rita Harvey Memorial Bingo. And speaking of children, I can't believe we have two wonderful, beautiful children in our midst. I have been praying for 4.5 years for children. And when they showed up, I went, now? Love them, nurture them. I know they love us back. So I have one final word. I have a song for you. And don't touch...